Thanks for joining us today on New England Living. I'm your host, Rachel Holt. Maple sugaring is a New England tradition dating back centuries. And for one local farmer, keeping that tradition going has proven to be a huge success. Meet Jim Latanzi, owner and operator of Hollis Hills Farm in Fitchburg. You bought this farm back in 2014 with your wife. What made you decide to do that?
My wife and I were farming in Lunenburg. We rented a house and some land, and we were making hay, and we started keeping some cows and pigs and chickens, and then we got into maple syrup, and we started to have this whole agricultural business on all leased land. And so we started trying to find the right place, and when this property became available, we went all in.
What goes into farming in New England? Because you're dealing with all types of weather all the time.
We have all 4 seasons here. So we've got something going all season, but ultimately having the maple operation is great because it gives us something to do all winter. In the course of an average season, we can process anywhere between 80 and 100,000 gallons of sap, making lots and lots of maple syrup.
I have to be honest with you, I never really thought much about where my maple syrup was coming from. I'm usually just hungry and focused on my pancakes, but there is a lot that goes into this. Can you walk us through the process?
So very simply, we're harvesting sap that comes from a tree and reducing that sap, concentrating the sugars. So ultimately, we're reducing typically 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. We're wood-fired, and we run a gasification evaporator, meaning we burn green firewood at a very, very high temperature. So it's really, really efficient in making syrup. We have a reverse osmosis machine, an RO, where we can take out 85 to 90% of the water before we start boiling. The pure water gets through, and we take the concentrated sugars, pump it upstairs, and then feed that into the evaporator. The boiling process takes about an hour from the time it hits the back of the evaporator all the way till the finished syrup coming out of the front. With enough sap to go, we can make about 40 gallons of syrup an hour.
Steve Randall oversees the sugar house and is the man behind the maple at Hollis Hills Farm.
This is actually the final part of making maple syrup. This is where we take the water out of the sap, condense it, and then bring it up to 66% sugar, and that's when it becomes maple syrup. We typically tap from late January to first part of February, where you start to have days that are warmer, above 32, getting to 40, but the nights still drop into a freezing temperature. And what that does is that temperature difference, when it gets warm, then cold, it creates a pressure in the tree. So then when you tap the tree, when it warms up again, it wants to relieve that pressure. That's what makes the sap flow out of the maple tree. So you've got that 4, 5 to maybe 8 weeks to make your entire yearly supply in that short window.
No pressure.
No pressure. We're near 4,000 trees. That can produce over 100,000 gallons of sap. And then the whole idea from that is, how do you get the water out, concentrate that sugar to 66% to call it syrup? Our target with the number of taps we run is anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 gallons a year.
What's the history of maple syrup here in New England?
An interesting fact is up until the 1860s, maple sugar or maple syrup was the #1 sweetener of all of the United States. Once cane syrup became popular, it became very difficult to compete on price. And it really took a sharp drop off, and there was many people that used to make maple syrup that just stopped making it. That's also one of the reasons why we wanted to keep that artisanal product and keep that history alive, is to continue making syrup just like they used to do it back in the 1800s.
While most of their trees are located in surrounding woods, some of the maples on the farm are still tapped the old-fashioned way.
What we do in the woods, we have lots and lots of tubing on a hillside. And so we tap all those trees and we run them down to the bottom of the hill where the collection tank is. But those special trees that still need a bucket, that's what we're here to do, is to tap one of these today. You want to hand me that bucket right there? We'll start collecting some of that sap.
Okay, we're waiting. Oh, there it goes.
Look at that.
Wow. And how much sap will come out of this one tree?
So over the course of a season, you can see up to 20 gallons of sap per tap.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's moving kind of quick. You're known for your maple here, but there's plenty to do on the farm. There's animals, as we can see here. There's a restaurant. What can visitors expect when they come here?
So we've got kind of the full farm experience. We have 135 acres. We are a U-pick operation. And so we grow strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, peaches. We do a big cut flower patch. We have pumpkins, and we grow lots of apples. For maple season, of course, you come to the sugar house. You get to taste fresh maple syrup. You can go down to the animal barn and visit goats and sheep and pigs and chickens. You can spend hours just enjoying the scenery and the animals, and it's something that lots of families enjoy.
What does it mean to you and your wife to be able to raise your children here?
I'd say it means everything. We're giving them experiences that they wouldn't necessarily get elsewhere. We're trying to teach them a work ethic. You know, I feel like growing up on a farm, you only learn things on a farm.
Jim, when people visit the farm, this is what a lot of people look forward to. Sugar on snow, and I am one of those people.
Of course, of course. All right, so what we've got is we take maple syrup, we cook it a little bit farther, and we take that really hot syrup and we lay it out on the snow. It cools, and it's gonna form a taffy.
So it's almost like a maple syrup lollipop.
Correct.
Simple and delicious.
Exactly.
This is obviously a lot of work. There's a lot of land here. What keeps you going day after day?
What drives me every day is a love for what I do. When you enjoy work the way that I do, it's not really work. As a farmer, there's always the next season coming. And I enjoy each aspect and the seasonality of the things that we do here at the farm. We hope that when you come to the farm and experience the different seasons and the products that we offer, that you get to take them home with you and those memories last.